All right, so tonight we are going to be just clarifying some of the more confusing spots in our last inspiration video for this program. And so let's go ahead and start from the very beginning of this Deafhood Yoga Value of Services video. And I'm going to press play now. So I'm just going to kind of talk through it a little bit. This first sentence, she finger spells value and then signs value a couple of different times. So I'm going to pause now. I'm at about 15 seconds. And so she finger spells value, then she signs value, and she signs value, sort of just emphasizing that idea of value. But really all she's saying, but with emphasis, is she's talking about how important the value of services is. And so she wanted to talk about that. And she talks about how it was part of her journey. So starting at about 15 seconds, okay, I'm going to press play again. So now she's talking about how the timing wasn't quite right until she went to a conference. And this conference was for deaf business owners. Just kind of giving you guys the big idea of what she's talking about. So I'm going to pause at about 40 seconds. So the timing wasn't quite right. Then she went to this deaf business owners conference, and they're about to have a conversation. She's going back in time, talking about this conversation that they had at this conference. Any questions so far?
Nope.
All right.
Good.
All right, I'm at 40 seconds, and I'm pressing play now. So now they're in this round table, and they are all discussing how they price their services. Not an easy question. So then she goes into her personal experience and her experience going to typical yoga classes. Press pause. Okay, so I'm at 1:15. Any questions in this section?
I don't think so.
Okay, so they're at this round table. They're talking, the question of how to price your services comes up, and then she kind of goes back to her own personal experience, and now she's talking about how and she's going back to her personal experience in relation to how she priced her own services. So she's now about to get into her own experience when she went to regular run-of-the-mill yoga classes, what they looked like.
And that she's using this for yoga?
Oh, this is her sign for yoga.
Okay.
Yeah, she discusses that in another video. Thank you for bringing that up. It's something like the connection of your mind and your heart and your spirit, or something like that, yoga. Yeah.
Okay.
Good question. Okay, at 1:15, she's in the middle of the sign for, it was a very large class. So she's for some reason, signing go very sharply to the side, and she's in the middle of signing how the class was like it was a large class. At 1:15, pressing play now. So she's going through describing what these typical yoga classes were, and how that affected her as a deaf woman. So at 1:40, I'll stop, 1:42-ish. So in that section, just kind of paraphrasing, she's talking about how there were 50 to 60 students in the class, and I know that's not exactly paraphrasing, but I wanted to bring that up because numbers tend to trip people up. So large class, no interpreter, no other deaf people, just a real challenge following the class. She also mentioned how, as a result, she has, there were safety issues as a deaf woman in this class. There were, lack of technique, exposure, lack of skill exposure in this kind of environment.
Okay, I saw her say high risk. So she was
Yes.
talking about herself because of lack of communication.
Exactly. Exactly.
And when you said safety concerns, are you just labeling that, or did I miss something? I didn't see safety concerns.
Her sign for sign closely, if I can remember, is something like result for me, and then she signs skill, technique, safety.
Okay.
So putting that into an English sentence is actually really a tricky one. Actually, somebody emailed me today about that exact sentence. So, what do you think? What do you think she means by that? Right before. It's actually right at 133-ish.
I guess so, because she was just trying to watch and copy and she was missing things. The class for her was lacking the skills, technology, and safety necessary for a good class.
Yeah, she's using this as technique in this sense. Technique. So like the techniques, the yoga techniques, gaining skill, gaining technique, having a safe environment. All of these sort of cornerstones didn't happen. She says broke down. So it might be just that little segment. Maybe she means like I can't remember what I wrote in the email earlier, but it's I feel like she means like, as you said, because there was no communication, I didn't have access to the skills and the technique. It wasn't a safe environment. It was high risk, which she does sign right before that. It was high risk for me. So all of those things failed because of this lack of communication, something like that. I'm sure we could, if we thought hard enough, we could come up with something a little bit more eloquent, but I think the message is in there somewhere. So if we go back to, I think we were at about 140, watch her kind of finish up discussing her being in this hearing, her experience in hearing, I'll call them more run-of-the-mill yoga classes. At 140, pressing play now. Okay, let's pause there. I'm at about 150. So she's just kind of wrapping up that by saying that it just wasn't enjoyable, it wasn't beneficial, and that's it. And then she kind of transitions to that experience was the whole reason why I created my business. All right, at 150, pressing play now. Okay, I'm gonna press pause at about 206. And then here she gave us all this background. So now she's back to this whole pricing thing. And she's like, so I had this experience, and then it was natural for me based on that experience to take that and apply it to pricing. Because she starts it off with like, so this whole pricing thing was a really difficult thing. So I took from my own experience and I based my pricing on this, but she's like, I don't know if that was the right model. It might not have been the right model to use for my own pricing.
Is that what she finger spells as model?
Model, yep, exactly.
Okay.
Yes. Then at 206, pressing play. Okay, I'm going to pause now at about 226. So because timelines tend to be one source of a challenge for interpreters, I want to kind of make sure we have this all very clear. She starts off with saying that she went to a conference, at that conference had a round table with a bunch of deaf business owners, and the concept of price came up. Then she jumps back and says, now my experience was that I took all these yoga classes, and that's why I created my business. And then when I created my business, I was trying to figure out pricing. And so I relied on all of my experience to figure out my price. Okay. And so that's how, if that's right or wrong, who knows? You never know, but that's what I did. Then she jumps forward. So now this was the first conference. Now she jumps forward 2 years. Okay. Mm-hmm. She goes to another conference, something about social entrepreneurship or something like that. I can go back and figure out what that word is, but some other conference, and this idea of price comes up again 2 years later. I'm going to rewind just so that I have that word right, because somebody's going to ask me. Social entrepreneurship program. That's what and this was in San Francisco. Okay, and so we can start right at 225. She was just asked at this second conference. So what's your pricing? Okay, starting at 225, pressing play now. So everybody's pricing in this place is a whole lot different than hers. Keeping watching. Okay, let's pause here at about 255. So they're at the conference. What's your price? They go around the room, and she's flabbergasted at how much different their pricing is to hers. Hers seems piddly compared to all these really, really high-end prices that are going around the room. And then at 255, she starts defending her price, okay, to all of these other entrepreneurs. Okay, 255, pressing play now. So here she's defending her price and how she actually does more time than what is the norm. And
okay, I have a question before we get to that part.
Sure.
You said that her price was piddly, and I see that later, but was there something that let us know that, I mean, you see that she's shocked, so you're just putting that together. She's shocked because their prices are so large?
And hers was $20, and she signs it like that. $20. So I'm not saying you should voice piddly. I'm just kind of explaining the video from my perspective.
Okay, she had already signed the $20. I guess I forgot that she had already done that part.
You can rewind if you want.
So I was ready to answer. Yeah, I see her signing everyone else. I'm missing where she signed.
It's right at 247. $20 for 90 minutes.
Oh, okay.
And then after that, she starts talking about the reasons why. That clear now?
Okay, the $20 came after. That's why okay. So when you see this, like, do you have a word? Like, she's clearly flabbergasted.
Yes, she is clearly flabbergasted. Yes, maybe flabbergasted. You know, maybe it could be voiced possibly as, and this is just from memory, so I could have things out of order a little bit, but something like, so they asked us what our price was, and we started going around the room, and I was hearing prices in the thousands. So when they got to me, I was almost embarrassed to say what my price was. And I told him it was $20 for 90 minutes, something like that, maybe.
Okay.
I may have missed a more of a crucial element in there. I have to go back and double check that. But something.
Okay. One more. I'm sure it's a basic question, but I have to ask it. So it was so obvious that she was so excited, like she was ready to answer, and then that all changed. So when you see all of this here, but there's really no signs happening, how much do you jump in and explain? Because I feel like that was important, that she was excited, she was like ready to jump in, and then that all changed, even though her hands didn't really do anything.
Yeah, that's a very good point. So I talk a lot about how there's a lot of visual stuff that we get with ASL that we just can't even possibly, it even shouldn't include in the English because it ends up sounding awkward. That said, I think you have a really good point there that we may want to consider that. And so the question is, how do we put that in and also make it sound natural? So we chose flabbergasted, or I chose flabbergasted, right or wrong, whatever, to convey the idea of that, the shock of how expensive everything was, but that the initial element, as you mentioned, of her initial excitement. Can you think of a word? If we try to say, at first I was really excited to say the price, and then as they went around the room, that might be a little bit cumbersome. Maybe not. It could be maybe even, how can we say that? They wanted us to give our prices for our services, which I was ready for, maybe, because she does sign like I was ready, which I was ready for. But then, yeah, that might be a better way to say it. That's
okay. I see that.
Nice, good question. Okay, let's start right about 3 minutes. Let me know when you're there.
I'm there.
Okay, pressing play now. So now we're getting the audience's reaction to her price. Let's keep it going. I'm going to keep it rolling a little bit more. Okay, let's pause there, about 3:40. So that whole segment was really about the audience's reaction to her piddly price. I shouldn't say it like that, but and so they kind of like were trying to coach her, like, you are undervaluing yourself. You have your expertise. She fingerspells expertise. You're undervaluing your knowledge, your experience, all of that. They were just absolutely floored that her price was so low. And then at the end there, she talks about how it was natural to get a little bit defensive about kind of defending her price. Yeah, I think that about covered it in the gist of it. All right, let's keep going right about 3:40. Pressing play now. Now she's defending their reaction, talking about culture and her reasons behind her pricing. Still defending. Okay, let's go ahead and pause. This whole section is really her defense, and her defense centers around deaf culture. She's saying, you guys don't understand your hearing. Deaf people have issues with money and have cultural things going on, and now she's going into these other 3 areas. Reasoning, the first one had to do with deafhood, and even deaf people's resistance to deafhood is what she just said. So
okay, that's where I got a little lost. I understood the social economic problems, but the stuff around that, I couldn't quite make that an English sentence somehow.
So let's start back at, oh, there we go, maybe 410. And I'm going to press play now and just watch that next section.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead and pause there. We didn't go back quite far enough, but she started off right before that saying the issue with deafhood. And then she said, it was a new concept back then, so that in itself was an issue. A lot of people didn't know about it yet. Even though the concept is a beautiful thing, people hadn't taken the class, they didn't know what it was all about, so they were resistant to this whole deafhood thing. She says, like, that was in the past. Now it's kind of gotten better. People have taken the class and know more about it, but there was a lot of resistance in the past. Was it clear the second time?
Okay. Okay, yeah.
Okay, good. I think we can do one more chunk of this, and then I think I'm going to call it a night.
Okay.
This video is going to go up tomorrow morning anyway, and then you'll get the whole thing more detailed.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm at about 423.
Okay.
Okay, and I'm pressing play now. This is a tougher section.
Uh-huh. Okay, really right in the beginning, after spirituality, is that just different emotions?
Yeah, exactly. Yep, struggling with my emotions, different emotions. I really struggled with it emotionally, something like that. Yes. I was conflicted emotionally, maybe.
And then because she's speaking about spirituality and then it's coming up from her right, is this God now? I mean, she doesn't sign God.
It might be because she's not getting religious about it. She's talking just about spirituality. It might be better to keep it vague and say, this gift was given to me for free, she says. And then she says, so giving it out and charging for it, I really struggled with that too. That's what that whole section's about.
Beautiful, process free. Okay, I guess as it was coming to, the word gift didn't come to me. I think I missed that whole sentence in my voicing because I was trying to put something. She didn't really say God, but it was from that direction. It wasn't grace. I was trying, what else comes from that direction?
Right. Well, and one thing that helps with that, I had a face-to-face with somebody last weekend, and we talked about when something is fuzzy, like when you're uncertain of how to voice something, our tendency is to just go for it and to just say, I'll just say something. But better is actually to back up even further from the message. And everybody has this fear about getting further and further behind because, oh no, I'm going to miss something. But when you get further behind, you can get a clearer picture. It's like in actual pictures. If you're looking at a picture this close up, all you're going to see is what's right there. Like if you looked at my hand that close up, you wouldn't know what you're looking at. If you looked at my hand this far back, you may just see the palm and might think, well, that's a part of the body. It's probably skin. But if I voice skin because I just see skin, that may still not be accurate. So that might feel like a comfortable place to back up to and look, but you may still not have enough information. So looking, all of a sudden you see a hand, right? So in that case, when you see this and free and you may not completely understand what she's getting at until she maybe gives it away and says, a price to charge for this gift, like, oh, that struggle. She doesn't say gift, I know, but charging for that, and you don't have to voice it as gift, but charging for that, then you get a better understanding of what she's saying, rather than fixating on just the challenge with this one sign. You can put that together with the whole message, and maybe it comes out as, I was given this for free, and then I'm giving it away, and now I'm charging for it. I don't know. It was really difficult for me. You know, that could be a better way to put it.
I think I finally spit out special thing, but I felt like that was so like I was just trying to.
Yeah, but at least that's not off. It's not the wrong message, so that's good. We think weird stuff's gonna come out sometimes, and not much we can do about that. I was working today, and I had this thought of, you know, people. We aim for accuracy, you know, equity, language equivalence, and sometimes in that aim, it doesn't matter where you are in your career. Sometimes in that aim, you're gonna, something weird's gonna come out of your mouth. You're gonna have a fragmented sentence or sentences that make sense, and so we have the most flawed career, a very, very flawed career. We're always going to be making mistakes. The more we practice, the fewer mistakes we make, the better we handle those mistakes, the better we correct those mistakes, the more we're aware of them, so we can go, what impact? No impact? Okay, let's just keep going, right? Or, whoa, huge impact. I need to fix that and rework that whole thing. Let's pause the whole situation, because I just screwed up big time. So we have more awareness, and we make better decisions, but ultimately we're always going to say something like, I had a special thing and I gave it out, and yeah, that's nothing. So I'm going to go ahead and work on you guys's guidance video tomorrow morning. And can you remember anything? There's one section in here that I'm pretty sure everybody's probably pulling their hair out about. I did also. Can you think of it?
Oh gosh, I did everything on Saturday, so I didn't know we were going to talk about this video. Maybe I should have known that. I'm sorry.
Did you have any questions about the other one?
I felt the other one, I struggled. So hers was a little bit easier for me, maybe because I've taken exercise class. I don't know.
Okay.
But the AFA one, I felt like I saw picture, like inside my head, it was really clear. But spitting it out in English, I struggled so hard with that one. The cochlear, I like, experimenting with our bodies, but then I felt, well, she didn't sign experiment, so now I'm adding a word that I didn't see.
But we're never adding a word. So you don't want to add a concept. So meaning we're always adding words we don't see, right? Because English and ASL they don't coincide whatsoever. So we're always adding words we don't see. Even if we want to just go as simply as the, and the articles that aren't in ASL, right? What we don't want to do is add to the message or add concepts that aren't there. We don't want to put our own stuff into the message. But if the message is that in English, and the message is that in English. So the question is, what is she trying to say? What do you think she's trying to say by this? What do you think?
I felt like she was just saying, messing us up, taking from us. Like it was focused on the physical body only. But I felt like it came out very choppy. Like it wasn't.
Why do you think your tendency was to say experimenting with them? Like, where'd you get that from?
Because it was like the full body. Like it wasn't anything specific. Like she wasn't saying there was, surgery on the heart or the lungs. It was kind of in general taking things.
So interestingly enough, another person I met with this week, and we had a discussion about that exact thing. And I said the same thing to her. I said, well, what do you think she's trying to say? Like, what is she trying to get at? And she goes, well, I kind of think they're talking about experimenting with these deaf kids. And I said, I think she's saying that too. So I don't think that's wrong. As long as we've assessed what the message is and we go, I think that's what she's saying, then we go for it. I'm not saying that's the only way to convey that idea. We could also maybe say that, like you said, they're using our bodies, or they were so invasive with their actions, but I kind of really like the idea of experimenting on us, because I think that's ultimately what she's saying, especially when she continues with like the paralysis and all the other issues that had gone, stroke or whatever. I think that's what she's getting at. I do.
Okay, I think it just threw me off. Cochlear, and you know, the ear, the mouth, that was all obvious. But then when she started doing it down her chest, I was trying to think, what would they be doing? Like, because of her age, I even thought, is she talking about like the old radio, like AM, you know, that was hanging there? But that wouldn't be taking off.
Right. Yeah.
So I was really trying to attach, but I couldn't think, like, what would they do to the torso area?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that we struggle so much with this idea of, you know, can I say that? And is this allowed? And well, I didn't see that exact sign that matches that word, so I can't. But when you step back again and look at the whole message and think, like, don't try not to, and it's so easily said than done, but try not to try not to allow the signs that you say, that you see, to play into the words that you choose. Just let the message tell you what are they trying to say? What are they trying to say? And then as soon as you answer that question, you can use whatever words you want, based on the register, based on who it is, based on, you know, all of that. But you have complete freedom to use whatever words you want, as long as you feel like that matches the goal, the speaker's intent. That's it.
All right.
Yeah. Free yourself of all those signs. Free yourself. There is one section in here that I actually went on Facebook and asked all my interpreter friends, what do you think she's saying in here? I know the message, but I've never seen the sign before, and I don't. Have you guys ever used the sign before? And she goes into the camera with her hands, and she signs this, something like this, into the camera. And it's a section about how deaf people tend to want hookups, tend to want deals, lower prices. And so she was talking about another challenge that she had with figuring out her price and wanting to have a low price for this reason, you know, like, and she uses this sign, which we actually had in the last video too. This sign, like, you know, come on, hook me up, give me a good deal, reduce, 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 she signs. Come on. And this is the sign I'd never seen before. And everybody, including my personal mentor, did not know, had some guesses, but did not know what that sign was. So the message is very, very clear, but her use of this sign I've never seen before. So just in case anybody's racking their brain over that sign, yeah, I don't know it either.
Interesting.
Yeah, yeah. All right, well, any other questions?
I don't think so.
All right, well, have a fantastic night, and hopefully I'll see you soon.
Thanks, you too.
Thanks, bye, Jill.
Bye-bye.